We all know grief is a super tough journey, but sometimes we might not realize that we are struggling a little bit more than we should be. As someone who has lost my 10-year-old daughter, Libby, both of my parents, my stepmom, and my sister, I have definitely had my share of very rough days. In today's video, what I want to talk about is the brutal truth that you might not be handling your grief in a healthy way and what you can do about it. Stay tuned. Grief is totally natural and everyone reacts to it differently. I talk all the time about how there is no one set way to deal with grief. Everyone's grief journey is going to be different. However, there are signs that your grief might be getting the best of you, and that's what we want to talk about today. Here is my list of what to watch out for to know that you need a little more help.
Okay, I think that I need help.
The first one is constant feelings of hopelessness. If you're feeling hopeless every day, it's a sign that grief is overwhelming you. And don't get me wrong, it is totally normal to have bad days. I have plenty of bad days. But if you can't see any light at the end of your tunnel, it's time to take some action. The second thing is withdraw from family and friends. Isolation is a big red flag in grief. And this is coming from me, a total introvert. If you find yourself completely avoiding all contact with friends or family or social situations, that might be a sign that you need some help. Human connection, even for those of us who are introverts, is vital for healing. The third sign that you are not dealing with your grief in a healthy way is neglecting self-care. And I don't mean like not taking bubble baths or doing face masks or anything like that, getting massages. I am talking about basic hygiene. Grief can make it really hard to take care of ourselves at times, but if you are skipping meals, if you are not getting any sleep or sleeping all day, or if you are neglecting basic hygiene like showering, brushing your teeth, things like that, it's time to seek some help.
You definitely need a shower.
The fourth sign happens, I think, a little bit in the later times of grief, not so much the early days, like the early days and months, and even the first year. This doesn't apply to you. But after that, if you find any inability to experience joy at all, that is a sign that you're not dealing well with your grief. Again, totally normal and okay to feel sad. Everyone does. But if you can't find joy in anything at all, that's a sign that your grief has become too much to handle on your own. Because finding those little moments of happiness, no matter how small they are, it's crucial for your mental health. The next one is constant rumination. So rumination is when you are just thinking nonstop about your loss or thinking over and over and over again about one particular thing. Again, in the very early stages, this is normal. I ruminated about the loss of my daughter constantly. I especially ruminated because she died in a car accident about the accident, and I replayed it over and over and over in my head, even though I wasn't there. I was like obsessed with thinking about what the accident was like and making pictures of it and recreating it in my head. It sucked. But I would say if you are over a year out or even a little bit earlier than that and you haven't had any professional help, and especially if it's affecting your ability to function, it's time to get some help. Rumination can be an early part of processing your emotions. That's normal, but when it's constant and it's been a long time, that can become harmful. The next sign that you need some help is substance abuse. And this is much more common than people ever think when they talk about grief. I myself haven't had any problems with this because I was never a drinker ever and never did drugs. So I didn't have this issue, but I am really surprised and amazed by the amount of people that I've talked to who have gone through this. It is quite common, actually. If you have turned to alcohol, drugs, or other substances to help you get rid of those feelings that you can't handle, that is a bad sign. These things might provide a temporary solution, but long term, they cause nothing but problems. So, dealing with your grief in this way, while it is common, it is not a healthy or sustainable solution.
The alcohol isn't helping.
And the last sign that you are not doing so hot with your grieving process are the physical manifestations of your grief. So if you are having a lot of these physical symptoms, like constant headaches or really, really bad headaches, or stomach upset, digestive issues, or any other physical problems, that can be a sign that mentally and physically you're not dealing very well with your grief and you might need some help.
So what do I do?
So if you recognize any of these signs in yourself, what do you do? Well, first, let me just say again that when you first experience grief, when you are first dealing with that loss. So I always go back to like when I first lost my daughter, Libby, I was a hot mess. And that is totally normal. The way that I knew that I needed some help was, and I share this story quite a bit. I was at the accident site where my daughter died, and she was hit by a car carrier truck. And I was at her memorial cleaning it up, and all of these car carrier trucks were whizzing by. And I walked down to the edge right on the side of the road where all the trucks were whizzing by. And I literally was about to step out in front of the trucks. I was standing there trying to make up my mind whether or not to do it because I just did not know how to move forward. I didn't see any hope for my future at all. And thank goodness one of those trucks honked its horn super loud, scared the bejeepers out of me, and I ran back up the bank. And that was when I knew that I was not doing well and I needed some help. And I knew that the feelings that I was having were normal. I just needed help dealing with them. So I ended up going to a day program at a behavioral health hospital or mental hospital. And they gave me so many tools to deal with the things that I was going through. And it was a place where I could just talk as much as I needed to about what I was going through as well. It was super helpful. So there is absolutely no shame at all in seeking help for your grief. So my first and number one tip is if you're experiencing any of these things, seek professional help.
We're going to need professional help.
Therapists and grief counselors or trauma counselors are trained to help you with this very thing. They can help you learn to navigate your emotions and to deal with the physical aspects that you might be experiencing. In my opinion, seeking professional help is never a weakness, but always a strength. The second thing you can do, reach out to loved ones. Sometimes it's hard, especially if the loved ones that you normally reach out to are also experiencing the same loss that you did. And it might take a bit to figure out which of your loved ones you can actually go to. So like, for example, when my daughter died, my mom was still alive at that point, and I tried to talk to her, but I couldn't. I learned very quickly not to talk to my mom or my one brother for that matter, because he stuffs everything down and doesn't like to talk about feelings. And my mom would kind of turn everything about herself. And I very quickly realized that those were not the people who were going to help me. But my ex-husband, on the other hand, Libby's dad, he knew how I was feeling because he was feeling the same way. So he became kind of a vital person for me to talk to and just share all of the shit I was going through because he got it. He understood. And again, I know I keep repeating that there's no shame, but so many people feel shame about asking for help. And there is absolutely no shame in letting your friends and family know that you are struggling. And sometimes just having someone who will listen to you, even if they don't know how to help, that listening can be invaluable. The third idea I have is to join a support group. This won't work for everyone. I tried support groups and they were not helpful for me, but that is because of my personality. But I know a lot of people who found so much strength in support groups. It can be incredibly helpful and healing to connect with people that understand the pain you are going through. So whether they are in person or online, support groups can be a way to connect with those other people, and that can be really helpful. The next thing is getting back to basics to deal with the thing that I said about, you're not doing well if you are not practicing self-care. So one of the things you can do for yourself is get back to basics with your self-care. So that means making sure that you are eating the healthiest food that you can for the amount of energy that you have. Same thing with moving your body. I don't say exercise, I say moving your body, because just a little bit of movement can make a huge difference if you're not doing anything right now. And sleep is such a huge one. So if you can start to take steps to set up a good routine for your sleep, practice healthy sleep habits. Again, just get back to basics and make little goals for yourself to try to get those basics, get those ducks in a row. That will make your grief journey so much easier if the basics are covered. So practice that basic hygiene and self-care. And piggybacking off of that one, set small goals. I talk about this a lot in my book. Tiny goals, little itty bitty baby goals.
It means setting small, reasonable goals for yourself.
It can be something as simple as going for a walk, or making sure that you eat one fruit and one vegetable every day, or reaching out and sending a text message to a friend once a day. These small steps lead to big changes over time, and they can help make you feel so much better. And you have no idea how important it is while you're grieving to make those goals achievable so that you feel like you are accomplishing something and that your day is not pointless. My next suggestion is limit negative influences. I am sure you've heard really often, you are who you surround yourself with. So you want to surround yourself with people who offer you more positivity. And in my opinion, the biggest thing is hope. You want to be surrounded by people that give you hope that your future is not going to suck. Along with that, I highly recommend limiting your exposure to negativity on social media. So go through your feed. I've got videos about it. If you want to go back in my video archives about, clearing your social media and making sure that you are not following toxic people that suck the hope right out of you. Clean that feed, or just limit your social media and surround yourself with good peeps. And last, be patient with yourself. Everyone who is in deep grief is going to need support at some point. Most of us will probably have a time in our lives where we are not doing so well and we need help. I know I have. Healing takes time. So be patient and be gentle with yourself. It's okay to have bad days, bad weeks, but you don't want to let them define you. So hopefully this will help you realize when grief has become a little too overwhelming for you and when you need to address it. But don't let that discourage you. I want to encourage you that you can get the help that you need. And hopefully I gave you some suggestions that are helpful for different ways to do that. It's so important to remember that we are all in the same boat. You are not alone. There is help available. So take action and reach out and do what you have to do to make things better for yourself, because you deserve to find moments of happiness and peace again. So take care of yourself. Let me know in the comments, help each other out. If maybe you had a sign, maybe you had a time when you knew that you needed some help because you weren't doing well with your grief. You could share that if you feel comfortable with us, or if there's something that has really helped you in your grief journey and it has helped you get through the difficult times, please share. That is what we are all about here, is helping each other who are in the same situation. All right, that is all for this week. I will see you guys in next week's video. Sending love and hugs as always. Take care.